Okay, let's see if this piece of shit Streamlabs will work. It's not my fault really, because people know told me. All right. Hopefully. Let's see. I should have for how long? All right. Let's see. And I apologize. I just need somebody to tell me if something goes wrong with it. Let me see here. Well, I think I don't know where it stopped exactly, but I want to move on to. Let me see. Let's go here.
What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and this case keeps getting more weird and more weird. Make sure you...
This is from the Quartering. Shout out. Quartering here, legal, and everything. He's been doing this for a long time, and everything. This has been on Twitter, X, how they've been taking, Karmelo's been taking money from black people. All stuff there to get the mansion now and everything. They're living a good life. And stuff. Let me see. $800,000. Oh my God.
Leave a like on the video if you want me to stay on all of the latest with this. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe or follow the channel. It helps immensely. It's hard to find these videos, especially given the topic, and I would greatly appreciate your support. Now, some very interesting new news came out as the family of the accused has decided to make it public that they're not going to spend the $400,000 plus that they've raised, apparently, for their kid's legal defense. They're going to make sure they get a new house and pay for security because people have been saying mean words to them. Now, I don't know, given that Karmelo has been set free.
Forget Karmelo, everybody. We'll take the house. Whatever happens to him in prison, we can use the house. We don't like him anyway. Nah, that's it. But I don't know what the proof is. If what kind of job his father has, I don't know. So we're this, there's 3 other siblings, or at least 2 others. But yeah, 3 kids, 3 other kids work at home. No, mother's at home. She does stuff at home. The father works.
It seems like they have all the protection they would ever need,
like Steve,
but we'll get into that. Also, it would appear that they didn't even pay their kids bail. According to a new report, the bail was paid in its entirety by someone else. Isn't that an odd thing? Isn't that an...
It was a fund me. Black people funding him, Karmelo, and stuff. You know that. You know that, for Christ's sake.
Odd thing? I mean, what about the $450,000 that was raised? I thought you needed that for his bail fund. Make no mistake about it. This is only the beginning of the money that is going to flow into this family, as they are now trying to pretend that this is the quote-unquote exact same thing as Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm not kidding you. I've got a second video later today about the judge and about their new lawyer and about his braggadocious...
The minister, what really pisses me off is that these ministers claim to be ministers, and they're not. they totally go against all the teachings of the Bible. It sickens me. You know, especially inner city ones that claim they work of their work of God, and they do the exact opposite. And this minister, as well, is really a thug. You know, so these ministers are thugs and promote racism and stuff like that, and they promote violence in a lot of ways and racism. The very things that Jesus was totally against, they promote. That's the minister that...
Selfies, that's insane. Let's get into this story. Huge shout out to everyone who's picked up their coffee brand coffee Mother's Day gift box over on Amazon. I'm going to leave a link in the description to save. I tweeted out this morning, blowing your kid's legal defense fund on a brand new house before his trial even begins is hilariously on brand. Now, people are rushing to defend this use of money by saying, oh, they didn't buy this place, they rented it. Well, isn't that convenient? Now, I wonder if they were told by some counsel that renting a $800,000 house would be better because the victim's family could not reclaim that money as an asset. You know, if they bought the house, right? Let's say this trial goes completely like I expect it to, and this kid's going to walk, okay?
This right here, let's see, they're renting that house out here in Frisco. But they're in Texas or where, they're not in Frisco. They're not in San Francisco. Not defending Karmelo is right, just adding context. Just providing right, the landlords are a well-off Indian couple. Surprised they leased to them. Well, they probably did. Well, they probably leased to them before the crime happened, so, yeah, that's obviously. I mean, you can't just throw people out in California. You know, you can't. You can't just throw people out of houses.
There's still going to be a wrong...
But this isn't California. This is Texas or another state. Which state is this?
Wrongful death suit that they will lose. And if they own the house, they will lose the house. It becomes an asset. So I am sure someone told them, hey, don't be buying anything right now. Lease everything so the victim's family cannot get any restitution. On top of that, this via Sarah Fields, Dominique Alexander, a felon who runs a fraudulent organization and currently represents Karmelo Anthony as his, quote, family advocate, has stated that a man named Corey Toney, the owner of No Limit Bail Bonds, has provided the entire bond amount for the 17-year-old on trial. After conducting a quick search, Corey Toney's background, he has his own past of resisting arrest. Seen below, Corey, who claims to be a pastor, has also shared misinformation regarding this case on his own social media platform. What's interesting about this is, so right now they have $500,000 in cash, okay? They moved into an $800,000 home, allegedly, for their safety. Yeah, although there is some question about that. We're going to get to what his own father said they're going to do with this money. Because some people say this kid already lived in a gated community. So the question is, if this kid already lived in a gated community, where exactly are they going to move that's more secure than that? Here is Dominique Alexander saying, before this day ends, I need to take a moment to say thank you. After the bond hearing and the reduction granted by Judge Angela Tucker, by the way, a conservative judge who apparently is picking tribalism over what's right or wrong here. Remember that Kyle had a $2 million bond. Remember that? They're saying it's the same thing as Kyle. Well, Kyle, who was, who was clearly at very minimum defending himself due to obvious video evidence, he had a $2 million bond. A white boy, an affluent black boy, has a $250,000 bond. I don't really want to hear about white privilege. This case is going to get politicized, obviously. And, I will try to stick to the facts. Again, if they have credible threats against them and they need some level of safety to relocate, that's understandable. Do they need to move into an $800,000 home? No, they do not. Do they need to hire full-time private security? No, they do not. And do they need to lease all these things to make sure that the victim's family can't come for their assets after the fact? Well, yes, of course they do. Pastor Corey C. Tony, the owner of No Limit Bail Bonds and a respected business leader in our city,
of course they're
stepped in and paid the entire bond amount for Karmelo Anthony free of charge. He didn't ask for recognition. Yes, he did. He didn't want the spotlight. Yes, he did. But I believe it's important to celebrate these people who show up when it matters most. This is what community looks like. We rise to the moment, we stand for what's right. I also want to give a major shout out to my team, Damian Robert Adigan, who's their director of security, and our entire crew who stood in the gap today.
I mean, the thing is with bail bonds, they don't care about the crime you do. They just want that money. If you get that money, they don't want to know so much. They just want to know if you can pay up.
Making sure everything ran smoothly. The Next Generation Action Network is not a one-man. I mean, they're going to enrich themselves so wildly.
Yes.
At the expense of Austin Metcalf's life and probably Karmelo Anthony's freedom. This guy's organization is going to enrich themselves bigly. Here's the truth about Karmelo. This is what he shared. It's normal for students from different schools to gather under another school's tent. That's probably the least contentious thing that he shared.
He was trespassing.
The fact that he wasn't looking for trouble.
He was. I've already been over this. Only a dumbass idiot with an IQ of a house plant is to go to an enemy's tent, camp, and go over there. The only reason why you go to another the enemy team, is to start shit. The only reason why you do that is to start a fight. He brought a fucking knife, a deadly weapon, to use on somebody. Like I said, he planned this stuff out. He did.
Trouble that, again, it can't be known, but we certainly know after he was asked to leave that he did want trouble. The claim that one of the twins had never seen Karmelo before is a blatant lie. Well, you can't prove that. No student has the right to remove another student from a school-owned tent. Okay.
Yes, they do.
Track athlete. The twins are not. He wasn't even expecting to see them there. What?
It's done all the time when you go to these sporting events. If somebody does that, you're not supposed to be there. You know that. Any dummy, I got a message. Oh, hey, babe. Hey, baby. Anyways. The school owns the tent. No shit, Sherlock. But you're just, they never said that they did own it. They never said they did, you dumbass. They never did. You're not supposed to be there. Okay? You go over there, you know you're starting shit. They know you're starting shit. You go to the enemy team's camp. You're starting shit right away. They know that. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry knows that. That's what he did. He had intent. He premeditated. He planned it. You stay on your own side. That's common sense. You only go to the other side if you're going to start a fight.
What? Literally what? The fact that this guy has a prior conviction, I don't think really...
I don't think any of these people have ever played sports. I don't think these fools have ever played sports or been around it. I didn't do that much either, but I know a lot about this. I've only done some, but you never... The only time you went to an enemy's camp, sports, is to start a fight. Or loudmouth them. If you loudmouth, you're there to start shit. You're there to start a fight.
Changes anything. I mean, it is what it is. We can, of course, look at the summary of events. Trespassed to another team's tent, was told to leave, stabbed the kid in response. Black people raised $500K in legal defense. Oh, no, this money is not coming from the black community. I promise you that.
It is.
I promise you that. They're sharing it on X. They're saying Austin Metcalf deserved it. We've seen those videos. But this is not the black community pouring money into this. This is the same people that poured money into BLM, which is self-hating white liberals.
That too, I saw the above.
That's the reality. Okay, so let's stop pretending that the black community is putting all this money in here.
It's all the above.
Carmelo Anthony's family, following the charge, planned to use the $400,000 in donations to buy a new home and hire security amid alleged threats. Well, they've already moved into a massive 3,500 square foot home valued at over $800,000 that they are renting from Indian investors out of Frisco. This is what Gibson Go did. Now, this is what they're showing. They're renting this property from Meridi Sandeep and Mansaka Kuchikula.
Very well-to-do couple.
They're renting this home probably for $5,000 to $6,000 a month, I would guess.
Yeah.
People
California.
saying this is the free market. People give money. Yes, people can give money to him. That's fine. They can do that. Some people are arguing, well, they said he already lived in a gated community. Maybe that's true. But then why would you need to move? Again, the Carmelo Anthony's family revealed that they don't plan to use the $400,000 for his bail or legal defense, obviously. I mean, why would they use it for that? During the hearing, prosecutors asked his father why he could not use the more than $415,000 in donated funds for his son's defense to pay the original $1 million bond. And just so you know, if you go through a bail bonds company, that's $100,000. So he still would have had $315,000 left in cash for the kid's legal defense.
You only pay 10% with the bail
Just
bonds.
10% of the, $1 million.
So that's a $25,000 up front. That's $25,000 because you paid only 10% for bail bond and stuff.
Is to be paid, meaning Anthony will very likely be free very soon. We know he's free. His father said that the fund was supposed to be used for Anthony's legal defense, but he also disclosed that the cash should be used for security and to help the family move after threats that they have allegedly received since the killing. Now, the judge did not ask them to prove that they had received those threats, as far as I know. This revelation comes after a spokesperson for the family said that they simply cannot leave after their address was leaked online, leading to all sorts of threats, which included images of terrible things.
This don't make sense. They're saying this house is in Frisco, California, and this is in Texas. What the hell? Makes no sense.
Now, I don't doubt that people sent crazy stuff. I find...
I don't doubt it either.
I just ask that, you share evidence of that. I grew up in the Gamergate era where all these feminists were grifting online about all these threats, only to find out 10 years later when the FBI actually investigated that not a single threat that they ever claimed they got really ever happened. Anthony's attorney, Michael Howard, said it would be disingenuous to say there isn't money, but if it's not a bond fund, the family needs to be able to survive. They need $500,000 to, quote, survive. I
wish I had $500,000 to survive.
Wore,
holy shit.
A gold jumpsuit, blah blah blah. I'm not denying that this kid was an athlete, okay? But I think it's awfully odd that, again, was he a repeat offender? We can make the argument that $250,000 bonds and house arrest is probably fine.
Well, yeah, we were over that. The reason why they did is because he wasn't like a gang member. This is his only time doing it. And he wasn't, trying to run away. So when he was walking away, but he came back when the police ordered him to go to them. He was walking. You could say actually he was going. You could say that. Yeah, he would have walked off, but he already planned to say that it was self-defense. He everything planned to a T. You know, he planned to say it was self-defense. You know, before this ever happened. You know, like I said, I've been around guys that say I didn't do this crime and I didn't claim it's self-defense when it's not. This stuff. And the police know better. Usually people know better too. You know. But, anyways, I think I've covered enough of that. I think some of my ladies on OnlyFans want me to get in over there and take care of them. But anyways, I want to get to this.
You just in Oregon. Didn't the transgender?
This is Officer Team checks angry liberal fuming over men in trans sports, which is I'm totally against that. They have no business. Again, I'm not on his political side, but I do. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm not MAGA. I'm not liberal. This or that. I am. What the fuck is up? If liberals are so much for women's rights, you don't put men, even transgender, in women's sports, like boxing. What the fuck is in your heads? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck is in your head? What kind of retardation is in that head? That you don't know that they have all that testosterone, they still got all that muscle and everything over what, female athletes have. You obviously do not care about women's civil rights, liberties that much. If you're okay with putting, transgender men in the female sports. That there's something mentally wrong, mental issues with people with that. And I got my own issues, but at least I know. Officer Tatum here, shout out to him and everything for this.
Then the
It's
person
a white
who's winning the
guy.
state championship in
It's
Oregon.
a white guy.
I'm giving you.
This thing with universities is that these stupid college university professors with the DEI stuff, it's all about discrimination and exclusivity and indoctrination and extremism and stuff like that. It's a total 180 to what they're activism for. It's totally everything they say they represent is not whatsoever. They promote discrimination, they promote exclusion, and they indoctrinate people. Whether schools or these universities, I've seen this at universities throughout space and time, where these professors, oh my God, it doesn't matter what time period, it's just they brainwash these kids a lot, and they have no brain up here, and it's like these professors just brainwash into idiots here.
A participatory fucking medal in rec sports? Absolutely infuriating.
I thought we had a good conversation, and then it went off the rails. I told y'all, ladies and gentlemen, we were going to do it big for the first time in history. I don't think nobody's ever done this. We already got tons of businesses.
Now, I get what that white guy, that white boy's coming from. He wants his chance to go transgender and play with the girls. I get that. It's kind of sick and disgusting. It's very immoral too. But hey, I mean, I see where it's coming from. I think there's some bit off, but
Is
you know,
on board.
I just
We
say,
got tons of people that wanted to support. Their names are going to be on the
wanna
card.
play
You
it?
name
Yeah,
it.
yes,
For more information, you can go in
most
the description section and
He
find out
wants
about
his
that. But right
time
now,
with his son.
I want to shout out 2 of our many sponsors that we're going to have that sponsor this race. First, I want to talk about Karmelo, ammunition for freedom-loving Americans, family-owned company in my hometown of Fort Worth, Texas. If you order before 2 anytime, it'll be shipped the same day.
What?
Order right
Texas.
now, use code Tatum, and you'll get $10 off of your order of $199 or more, and that's including free shipping. The link.
my own advertisement, I need to put that in. You can buy blanks from Tato's Firearms and Ammo. You might shoot blanks and everything. And not saying that I shoot blanks, because of course I don't. Okay? We don't need to talk about that on here. Okay? If people are to make fun of me, that's going to cost people money. Anyways.
Link will be in the description section.
Just
Our
that-
next sponsor is LiveRx. LiveRx is coaching in your corner. Losing weight and improving your health doesn't have to feel impossible. They have 24/7 live
Just
doctor
use
support for
liposuction
customer
like
care
I
plans
do.
starting at $250. No fee, no membership, no insurance needed, just results. Click the link below or go to the
vacuum
website
cleaner.
liverx.md.
Get
Use
that
code
fat
Tatum. Ladies and gentlemen, see y'all at Talladega,
Yeah,
right?
So I'm not a Christian. I'm not going to take a theological standpoint on the issue.
Okay.
But you believe that abortion.
You already
across
know
the-
he's triggered. You already know by his face. The way that he looks, I already know that he's triggered. I know he's ready to blow. He has that look. He has that look. They have that look and everything. This guy looks like he could have it a bit, but he's taking off some of the heat from these other people. He's taking off some of this heat that these other people have. And it's like he's funneling the energy and he's the
The
output.
board is always wrong.
Yes.
Even in the case where a mother is going to die.
That's not an abortion. That's a medical procedure to preserve the life of somebody.
So you-
That's not an elected abortion. So I don't categorize that. That's not even categorized as an abortion.
That's considered in the national rhetoric of what an abortion is.
That's I said rhetoric. That's not
Laws.
according to. That's not according
Laws.
to.
My own views of abortion, all right, is that I believe in a woman's right to choose and stuff like that. I also don't like women that just go off and have an abortion every few days. They're to do that, just get their tubes tied. I believe in a woman respecting their body. That's why I believe in a man respecting his body. And everything. And respecting women's bodies. I don't like it where in California you can, put, some babies in a dumpster and stuff like that, and you won't be charged with a crime and stuff like that. And some other stuff I don't like, but I believe in a woman's right to choose and stuff like that. That's just me. I don't know what his views totally are. I didn't see this part when I went over the video, so I have to put out, my beliefs on that.
That's not according to when you go to the hospital and your life is in danger. They have to make an emergency procedure. They're not asking you for your consent either.
So you-
They're going to make an emergency procedure to save somebody's life. That's not an abortion. We're talking about elective abortions.
Okay, so
We're not talking about a
Right.
medical procedure.
then
Right.
I'm saying a medical
It's
procedure to
still-
preserve somebody's life. It's
there are
not.
still laws that would
Right.
restrict.
There's no
that
law to
procedure.
restrict.
No, he doesn't. These dummies at universities, they know nothing what they're talking about. And I've been around nursing, I've been around plenty of ERs and stuff like that in the medical field to know when you go to a hospital, they're only concerned about saving that person's life and the baby's life and everything. Usually, not always. That's usually the way that goes. Now, in some hospitals, there's politicking. There is. This moron knows nothing about what happens in hospitals. He's probably been very brainwashed like these other people have.
There is no law on the books that restricts somebody, a doctor, if it's going to save the woman's life, to make an operation that will preserve life. A doctor is not going to say, "Oh, I guess you got to die." That's not even on the ballot of a conversation. If a doctor is making a medical decision to preserve life, they have an obligation to do so.
Do.
That's not an elected abortion. That's not even considered an abortion. Now, if you want to talk about a person saying, "Well, I think I might get sick, or I think I might have a complication, so I want to have an abortion ahead of time," that's a different conversation.
You have to say that ahead of time, because what they're trying to do is save your life and that baby's life or whatever. That's what they're concerned about, saving life. Oxygen. You get oxygen, you're getting the right nutrients and stuff, that liquids and everything, IVs you may need, stuff, life-saving procedures. It's not about whether you want an abortion or not. It's not about, you have to say that ahead of time. You do. That's what it goes by law.
Other than a woman who's at a hospital and she's having a medical emergency and they have to abort the child in order to save her life. That's a different argument. We're talking about elected abortions. We're talking about a woman saying, "I have a propensity for this type of blood disease, or the pregnancy could be high risk, so I'm just going to have an abortion." Or a person who's saying, "I got pregnant, I'm sorry, I don't like that guy no more, I want to have an abortion." Or a woman who gets raped and says, "I'm raped, I'm pregnant, I don't want this child, I'm going to have an abortion." I think that in any of those cases, outside of a medical procedure, I think that that's not the right decision to have an abortion.
Why?
It's multiple reasons why. I don't think that a kid deserves to be killed because it could be perceived.
Let me see. Oh, jeez. Let me see. Let's see. Here it is.
Season, a trans woman won the women's race, and I'm not for that. I think that's wrong. I don't think that person, that she should have been in that race.
Why?
Because she profited off of it.
Why do you think she won?
Because before she had a gender affirming surgery, she had testosterone, she had larger lungs, she had larger femurs, leverage. She transitioned. She shouldn't have been in that race. But I don't fucking think that a fifth grader, that's not even in the point, a high schooler, should be uneligible to just compete in sport. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, you guys think, do you guys actually think that in rec sports, a trans person should not be able to participate? You really think so? Does it really fucking matter?
Well,
you should be able to transition until at least 18 and 21. I consider that sexual predatory. That is sexual predation right there. You're doing that with kids. That's sexual predators do. Same with Gavin Newsom. He's one of them as well. You don't do that with kids. You let them find their sexuality on their own. You wait until, I think it should be 21 personally. Because kids' brains aren't developing the same way it used to back in the old days. They aren't taught as well, they're educated. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. I say R's, not, And I consider it sexual predatory. You're going after kids, and you're brainwashing them. And they're supposed to learn about reading, writing, arithmetic, and stuff like that, about how to make it in life, the tools that they need. They're not supposed to be learning about that sexuality stuff. They're supposed to, I believe they should learn that on their own. It should be, religion, it should be this or that. Let them do it on their own, I believe. They shouldn't have outside influences telling them, how they should be, gender-wise, it should be, gender or sexuality-wise. you come to that on your own, you know.
Here's the point. Are people being disenfranchised by trans people participating in a sport that they weren't in a gender sport that they weren't born
in?
under?
Backtrack to abortion then. If
Why
the
are
incest
you-
rate is 1%, you care about those people being disenfranchised?
No. Let's get to the topic. I think abortion is
We're on
wrong.
the same topic.
No. I
It's
think
not disenfranchised.
Listen. I think abortion is wrong across the board. I'm saying that's only 1% because
I
the
think it's
majority of people
okay.
are not going through the abortion that involves incest or rape. Most of the people are choosing to get pregnant and aborting their children.
So the
That's what I'm
majority
saying.
so then we're going back to the trans in sports. The majority of people are being
Well, let's stay with that.
disenfranchised in sport?
Did 900, it was 890 medals. It was a UN study that 890 medals have been stolen from women, from transgender men turning into women in sports.
What medals
Is
are we
that a
talking
problem?
about?
Wait,
What
you just
medals are we talking
in
about?
Oregon. Didn't the transgender
If
person
you-
just win the
if
state
you
championship
claim
in
you know
Oregon?
about sport, then
I'm-
you know the
I'm giving you-
difference between a participatory fucking medal in rec sports.
Why aren't you?
Who won this?
Why aren't you sticking to the subject? You're just murmuring. You can't stick to the subject. You can't. You're just blubbering. You're just blubbering. You can't stick to the issue. This is
The
a
state
problem.
championship in track in the 100 and 400 and
We're then talking about a very specific amount of medals versus something
the transgender
We're
that
talking about transgender,
rode in the
dude.
cyclist race won first place.
Dude, you're not listening to
It's
me.
it's unfair.
No,
Do you agree?
You're not.
No, dude, I'm not going to agree.
It's not unfair.
Your
Oh,
let me-
logic,
let me just
your
say this.
argument is black and white, man. You're literally
It's unfair
not
to women
black.
that men
It
transition
is.
into women's sports and beat the
Unfair.
out of them.
You're not listening to me anymore. So we.
How,
cannot
what do you
continue
mean?
to have this
You're
conversation.
saying well, when they're 5 it doesn't matter. How many transgender kids are playing in sports at
Okay,
5?
So then let's actually.
We're talking about
bring
the-
in a different argument here. We'll bring in a different set of logic to
Okay.
this argument. Okay. So because there is some, and I'm from Washington D.C., born and raised, lived here for 9 years. Because there is
Good for
absolutely
you.
some bullshit gloat in bureaucratics. We should just, you know what? You guys care about your grandparents living check to check on fucking Social Security. Let's just cut massive amounts to veterans. Veterans
Who's cutting?
affairs.
Who wants to cut massive amounts to Social Security?
Oh my God! You
Who?
kidding me, man?
You just listen to propaganda. Let's go back to the transgender thing.
Okay,
Transgender.
so
Real quick,
Yeah.
transgender thing. It's unfair for biological man to compete against women in sports. You will never in your life, and I listen, I will put my life on it. You'll never see a person who's female, that turn into a man, that win a single medal in sports.
dude,
But you always see, that the man that turned into a woman is beating the brakes off these women in sports. It's clear and it's unfair.
This is a much more complicated issue.
Well, how about we meet in the middle?
No, it's not.
How about we meet in the
It's
middle?
not.
How about
No,
we have a
it's not.
transgender category?
It's not.
In some sports, I think that's entirely possible.
Let's do that. Let's have a category for people who are trans and they can compete in a
Okay,
certain category.
But that's still, we can agree on that.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
That's not what you want.
Yeah.
That's
What you mean?
You said
I just
that
don't
it's
want
Hey.
men to be
fair.
beating up women in sport.
So you think that in rec,
You should. They should. Trans should have their own category. They should. They need to have that. They do. Because it's very unfair for guys who say they're sucking it in their sports. In more ways than one, by the way, they're sucking. And then they're going female, and all of a sudden they're top of the hill. You know, whether it's swimming, fencing, boxing, karate, stuff like that, cycling, and other sports. It's unfair because testosterone, that they naturally have more muscle, more calcium stuff, bone density, proportions and stuff like that, muscle and bones and everything like that. that women don't have. Women don't have all the calcium and bone building that males do have in muscle and stuff like that. They just don't. Which is why, earlier times they're the fairer sex because they just weren't as strong built like boys and men are. They're just not. Of course, they're exception to the rule sometimes. Some women are just.
Sports? Across the board,
Yeah.
trans people should not be able to participate.
No, you can participate in sports. When you're in a competition, it's unfair to women to have to be subjugated to this. So, right, if you want to do rec sports, if you're just out there doing the volleyball like this or playing pickup game, that's different. When you're in a competitive collegiate sport or high school sport where there's a medal at stake, I think that it's completely unfair. But I also think that women should have a right to have a word in it.
But you agree? Of course.
If you're saying, hey, I want to do a co-ed sport, that's fine.
You agree with?
I think, and I've seen this with some people on different sides, they just want something to disagree with them on. If they agree, they try to make something up to fight about, disagree on, to have a fight about. I believe that's what he's doing. I believe that is. I totally
that it's
believe
not
so.
as
He's
simple
just trying to make
as all
stuff up.
trans people, all trans women should not compete in trans or in women's sports. Do you agree with me on that?
Hold on. I hope we're in the same argument. I'm saying that anybody that transitions should not be competing in that gender-specific sport. I'm not saying you can't go pick up basketball with girls. Guys and girls do that all the time. In a sport where you're competing, if you were a man and you now decide to transition, you shouldn't be able to compete in a female sport.
Across the board.
Across the board.
So then we are
Across
not
the board.
agreeing on that.
Why don't we have a separate category and then we all can agree?
I think that is something that we can have.
We should have. It's not fair for women to be
We can.
mistreated like
We
this.
can.
And should.
It's
Same
not,
thing.
but isn't it fair? Isn't it not fair for women to be mistreated like this?
That's not even the. That's not the.
That's not fair. What if you're a girl and
Why can't you acknowledge that women are treated unfair because it goes against your political leanings? This is the thing. This is what I hate about both sides, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, is that they're too polarized to acknowledge the commonalities that they may have. Instead, they try to find a nitpick anything to create a fight and to argue about, where you can't have common ground. And this is what we got so many problems in this country, is because they look for something to nitpick and fight about.
been training all this time, and then you gotta race against a biological.
Well, imagine if Officer Tatum went trans. He goes into women's sport wrestling. Okay? He goes, or somebody with basketball, he could just be guard, basketball, or wrestling, boxing. Imagine him going trans. Why can't he acknowledge that's unfair to women in sports?
Man.
All right. I have to go to work
Okay.
and do something productive in society.
That's good. You have a job. That's
Are you
good.
trying to say that this is not productive in society?
Absolutely. And you can go cut up this
We
shit
don't want
and
to cut him. He's mad.
Absolutely.
I thought we had a good conversation, but then it went off the rails. Okay, thank you.
It did. Oh God. Officer Tatum, there's stuff that I agree, disagree with him on. I wish it would have stayed on topic with that. I mean, because then I have to, say what I agree, disagree with. I just want things to be on a single topic, but that's the way things go in life. Let's go to UFOs. I want to get to UFOs, and I think the whole world does here. I think the whole world wants to see more, other stuff. At least I do right now. God. documentary here. Oh boy, man. Tell me what you guys think about this stuff as well. Leave a like. I don't do this just for myself. I also do it because I just want information to get out as well. This is from, oh my god. Succumbus? This is from Succumbus. Succumbus. Right here. Russia tries to intercept a UFO. Likely a Russian Mi-24 helicopter. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's take a look.
It's about me talking here, showing Russian air defense trying to intercept a UFO near Moscow.
Enlarge, thank you. Sounds like it could be a helicopter. So, this is the thing. Helicopters don't have that light. They don't have this energy thing going around it. Keep in mind also, I'm not on any side of this right now because I haven't really looked into this too much. But if it's a helicopter, it's going to have pilot, co-pilot, red, blue, orange, red, blue, green, light, stuff like that. It's got blinking lights. This doesn't. This looks different.
So you can see, Russian air defense did about as good a job at intercepting the UFO as we'd expect them to do. So I guess a big question on everyone's lips: what exactly is this UFO?
Look at that. How is it that? It seems like these rounds are going around it, like there's an area, a shielded area where they're not hitting it. On here. I'll go over this.
So you can see, Russian air defense did about...
You see that? It's like there's like an area where it's not hitting it.
as good a job at intercepting the UFO as we'd expect them to.
Or it's going around it.
So I guess a big question on everyone's lips: what exactly is this UFO? Firstly, we can't rule out this just being some kind of prank by some local Russians.
Well, UFOs could make themselves look like drones. They could do that.
Light up some type of helicopter type drone. You can see the top bit is spinning like rotor blades. Fly it over Moscow and cause a bit of panic for a laugh.
Why does it look like that thing is trawling them? I get the feeling that this thing is trawling them because it's not getting downed.
On the downside of that, it looks a bit too
Do
big
you guys see
to be
that?
some civilian type drone set up as a prank. And as we saw in the videos, it's also quite loud. I'm not all that clued in with drones, but I don't think
it
they're as
sounds
loud as
like
this,
a
at least not the
helicopter.
civilian type ones. You'd expect to be brought and used by people as some kind of prank, so I'm going to rule that out. Another option, this is Ukraine. Now, I don't think an attack drone. If this was going to attack Moscow, then why would it be lit up like this so anyone could see it? I'd guess its purpose would be to fly overhead like this, either as a distraction.
It's taunting them. That thing is taunting them. It's trolling them. What's telling them is that you can't bring me down. Your weapons can't bring me down.
To allow a standard drone to slip in and hit something. But I'm not aware of any strikes that hit
It
Moscow
looks
last
like
night. But maybe
we're just a minute 37 seconds into
haven't been
this.
reported yet. Or it's intelligence gathering. Fly around the Moscow area and attract samfire so Ukraine
Surveillance
gets an idea of where
reconnaissance that
Russia's air
there's
defense
smoke
is located.
like it has been hit.
Either to find gaps in the network to target Moscow,
Supernova
or so they can
Plus.
target the sandbatchers themselves with drones because they know where they are. Interestingly, in the video itself, we only see small arms fire trying to intercept the UFO. No SAM missiles were launched at it. So either they failed to detect a big,
Which is
loud,
surface
flashing
air
object in the
missiles.
sky, belching black smoke, Very
Yeah.
likely. Or, in the area, there were no SAMs deployed. Or, the SAM operators knew this was not a threat, something the troops on the ground didn't know. Which brings me to conclusion number 3, and the one I think
Well, if you're throwing thousands of rounds or tens of thousands of rounds anti-aircraft fire, and it's not downing it, then they're going to say, stop wasting it. It's not attacking us. And it's not attacking them. You're not going to waste all that ammunition. You're just not. It's just a waste. You're throwing
is most likely.
dead
This was a Russian
bullshit.
helicopter. I'm going to play a video now showing a Hungarian Mi-24 helicopter flying at night,
Yeah.
and it is very similar.
Wow, look at that baby. What the fuck? Jesus Christ, man. What? Fuck. Yeah.
So I'm going with option 3 here. This was a Russian helicopter flying around Moscow. Troops on the ground saw it, panicked, and engaged it with small arms fire.
That's not a
Likely,
helicopter.
Some
Sounds
were
like
let
one.
loose first, which
That's not the lights that a helicopter has, though. I mean, it could be. Look, right here. Though I could be wrong, but right here it was like.
and had a sort of domino effect, leading to
But if it was a helicopter, it was their own helicopter. You're not gonna. I mean, the enemy is not gonna use a helicopter. Do you know anything about warfare? I don't think you do. You're not going to waste a human life by using a helicopter when it gets shot down by anti-aircraft fire, a SAM, or just a person using a launcher and shoot it down. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I mean, there's crazy stuff that both sides have done, but they do that in their own theater. They're not going to go to the enemy's camp and bring a helicopter over there. The Russians don't even like to waste their jets going into Ukraine because it gets shot down. They usually have bombs, glide bombs, and usually what they usually do with these fighters is have these, like I said, glide bombs, and they use them where they could go and just float 20, 30 miles and hit a target. Neither side likes to waste their planes, their jets, their fighters. It's just a waste. They just don't want to lose all of that.
to other troops in the area, jumping to the conclusion that it must be a Ukrainian drone, and so firing at it as well. As well as the video greatly resembling that of a Mi-24 flying at night, the fact there's no SAMs trying to intercept it also suggests to me that they knew what it was.
That's the thing, if it's like a drone, all that firepower, all those thousands and tens of thousands of rounds, should have hit it. Going across our different directions, going from the ground, different directions, back and forth. It's a big target. It's a huge target. It should have gotten blown out of the sky.
Luckily for the pilot, it was up against Russians.
If it was-
They came closer to intercepting me when we did the helicopter.
But
Or did they actually
I
get a
think-
hit on it? Watch this video here again. It looks like the UFO, or helicopter rather, may be belching some type of black smoke. Now this could be an attempt to smoke screen or something like that to stop the ground fire from engaging it. Or
and it could have done that to get them to stop firing at it. I mean, this is done in warfare near Moscow. Yeah. I tell you, Ukraine ain't gonna waste a stupid helicopter. Drones, yeah, that's a lot different. Drones is a lot different. But my question is, when they've used, both sides have guys with machine guns even that are shooting, and there's anti-aircraft guns doing this as well. It's not downing it. that makes no sense. And I see these other rounds disappearing. When it gets close to it, I see the rounds actually disappearing. Or, going around or something else.
It may have taken a stray bullet or two and caught fire. It could also be some sort of atmospheric thing like condensation or something like that, plus the shoddy camera giving the illusion that it's smoke when it's actually vapor or something. Can't tell for sure. But it does look like it may have taken a stray bullet or so during these attempts to intercept it. So there's a chance that Russia may have damaged its own helicopter here. This all occurred near Narofominsk, shown here on Google Maps, so not over in Moscow itself like some Telegram and Twitter pages are reporting. It's about 50 kilometers away from Moscow. Finally, and very briefly, let's take a closer look at the Mi-24 Hind helicopter, which is the most likely...
No. That aircraft fire, okay, I think this might be the same helicopter that could take 50 caliber gunfire. I believe it is. It's like they have a tub that they're just like the Apache that could take, so it's much bigger. This helicopter is a lot bigger than Apache. This is a Hind, I think, is it? That anti-aircraft fire could have taken down this rhinoceros of a helicopter, this big elephant. There's no way that firepower could not have brought down something like this.
Culprit for this bit of chaos around Moscow. A photo of it's on screen now. So it's a large helicopter designed for ground attack and also transporting small numbers of troops. Pretty much a large gunship. It's quite a successful design really,
right there,
having been exported to over 30 countries.
It's huge.
Though it's quite old, it's from the Soviet era. We don't see these being used in Ukraine as often as we do other types
They're not going to. They're not going to use that. I have seen Ukraine use those types of helicopters, but more like the gunships. The thing is, they're not going to waste it going on a suicide mission into Russian territory. Alright? They use some of these on Ukrainians use it on Ukrainian soil. And it's very rare for them to use these gunships as well. Because it's like a waste. It's just wasted. There's only certain lines that they'll use these on, either side, okay? And that's what they don't have to worry about getting shot down as much. And even then, the Russians tried this in Ukraine. They got all their stuff shot down. Ukraine's being dumb and stupid enough to do this? No. And as big as this is, it should have blown it out of the sky. Easy. It's an easy picnic. Look, cannons, it has cannons too. Look at that. Look at that. Those cannons. Right there. And you can have missiles, rockets right here. You can put some bombs right here as well. That also looks like there's rockets right there. But
the ground support work mainly being given to the Kar-52 and the transport
you
work
got machine
to the
guns,
Mi-8 and Mi-17.
replacements here.
But they are using Ukraine still. 8 of these,
Right
the
there.
Mi-24 variants, have been lost according to
here.
Oryx, and 10 of the more modern Mi-35 variant of the helicopter. Russia had 323 in service at the start. And take care, everybody.
Dear friends, we urgently need your help.
Okay. So, let's see here.
Mysterious
The
unknown
Hill, legal. That is illegal. The Hill, give a shout out. Do this fair use, news, and everything else. Can make puns, memes, and everything else. So,
drones
anyways.
piqued the interest of the public, politicians,
Yes.
and politicians alike between 2024 and early 2025. Numerous reports of these flying craft were reported along the East Coast, specifically in New York, New Jersey.
It wasn't just New York. There's stuff flying around there. It was all over the world this has happened.
In Pennsylvania. The FBI, DHS, FAA, and the DoD issued a joint statement in December declaring that they were not from an enemy, but instead from hobbyists, law enforcement planes, and helicopters mistaken for drones.
Mystery objects exhibiting advanced technology are still loitering in our skies, apparently, at times near military installations and even close to nuclear power plants. Joining us now to dive in is Marek von Rennenkamp, a contributor for The Hill. Welcome, Marek.
Thanks so much for having me.
So I think for a lot of people, these drones dropped off the radar, so to speak, after that announcement that we alluded to in December. But you think that that is incorrect and that we should still be, I think, concerned about these things. So what's going on?
We should absolutely still be concerned about these sightings. And I just want to say that I bring a kind of a national security perspective to this. And I'm not so much focused on let's call it hysteria. A lot of what we did see in New Jersey was indeed hysteria. I have a minor bone to pick with your producers because the footage you showed was actually of an airliner. So there was a rampant misidentification in those New Jersey incidents that generated all those headlines. But I am far more concerned about...
Well, the thing is, like I've said before, some of these were real... Some of these were government... re-engineered vehicles. And some of it was extraterrestrial. And some of it was drones, some of it, But it was all a scam. It was there as a psyop. The thing is, people pay a price, the civilians. Because you have these bullshitters, Republicans, and Democrats, lying to the American public and saying that this is all perpetrated by civilians, and it's not. And you're talking about, we have criminals running our government and intelligence, everything else, that does not want people to know the truth. And UFOs can make themselves look like drones. There's real re-engineered technologies that had no seed propulsion, had no propellers, etc., and that defied gravity. They went ocean bases, stuff like that came from the ocean, and no real seed base that they came from. Defied physics, went hypersonic speeds, stuff that normal human aircraft and definitely drones cannot do. It has to be reverse technology, not human intelligence. That's doing it. There were some human drones involved, no doubt, but it's a global scam that happened.
6 or 7 years now worth of intrusions, just brazen, blatant intrusions over sensitive military sites, and we can dive into those, but the bottom line is these objects have been hovering over nuclear missile facilities in Nebraska. They've been swarming ships 100 miles off the coast of California, as many as a dozen at a time. The only imagery that we've actually seen of these objects is of a spherical object that slowly moves across the screen in front of a Navy destroyer and then descends into the ocean. So it's a mystery, and somebody, from my perspective, some unknown actor is putting on just a brazen display of impunity.
Yeah, and just to go back a little bit to the varying explanations we've had of what these objects are from our government, I've been very dissatisfied with that, because when this New Jersey incident happened, when we saw the drones there and the planes and helicopters that were misidentified, as you said, At first, the government said that it was all hobbyists. It was nothing to worry about. It was private individuals using the drone.
Bullshit.
Well, then there were multiple reports of them flying over these military installations. Now, I don't think anyone believes that the government or the military would simply allow a hobbyist to fly a drone over a military installation and do nothing about it. And so, to me, that fuels the speculation that this is either government property or that of a foreign actor, and they're worried about sparking some kind of conflict.
Not just a foreign actor. This stupid thing with so-called news that they don't want to tell the truth and say that some of this is non-human intelligence. And so people are going to get disinformation, misinformation from these. And I don't even want to give them any more coverage. Let me see.
Time to...
Okay, News Nation, again, legal. This is fair use. Do this our fair use. And everything else. Adding to it. Oh my God, I forget all the jargon I'm supposed to say for this. Give News Nation a shout out. There is a underwater UFO base right off of Catalina Island. There's one. There are a lot of underwater bases off the coast of California. There's places in the Atlantic, all over the world. But I see UFOs quite a bit myself. Got some videos, crappy was, but yeah, I see it quite a bit. Not drones. There's a difference.
Put on your mystery hat, because we've got a brand new sighting of a UFO, the kind that we're starting to see a lot more of these days. In fact, this may just be the Honda Civic of interplanetary travel. Flying Tic Tacs. Tonight we have another Tic Tac show, courtesy of investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell and the co-host of his podcast, George Knapp. They got their hands on some video from a U.S. warship off the coast of Southern California. What you're about to see happened back in Feb of 2023. A witness describes what he saw.
But when we start talking about all of the objects, all four objects, and what we witnessed was all four of them, all in synchronous, jetting off into the abyss. All four, all timed together, and all left. And we were like, holy shit. And they were all, maybe the second they left.
You see how all that movement is? It's trolling them. It knows that they're watching them. They know they're being watched. That's the thing. They know that. Just make it a spectacle.
Maybe 3-4 seconds pass. I run to my station and I look at my radar and they're all gone. They're all off radar. And I was like, that's it. They all zoomed off. But it's clear that they're in communication with one another and synchronized, like 3, 2, 1 countdown. Let's all go.
This Tic Tac had no typical propulsion, no exhaust, no wings, no tail, no rotors, the kinds of things that we all use to get around. It reminded me actually of the first reported Tic Tac sighting back in 2004. That one was also off the coast of Southern California, and it was caught on video by U.S. Navy pilots. So what does it all mean? Ben Hansen always has the answers. He is the host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus, kind enough to be with us tonight. Hey, Ben, thanks for doing this. Okay, I'm starting to see a lot of Tic Tacs. Is it time to worry?
That's not a friggin' Tic Tac.
Well, actually, they've never left. You know, we've been studying this area off of Catalina Island, San Clemente. It's, you know, Southern California. There's a very deep channel that goes between the islands and the mainland. And as you said, back in 2004, this is where that Tic Tac video was filmed and where they were seeing these objects regularly. So in this particular case, you couldn't really ask for anything better. You have eyewitnesses who visually saw it coming up out of the water, by the way, and then recorded it with thermal camera. And also, you know, you have these sensors that were on radar that were able to pick it up.
It's hard to see in the video, but the witness talked about somewhere around 4 of these
Well, the thing is, also, I have to say this. A lot of stuff is only able to be captured on thermal. Sometimes, otherwise, human eyesight cannot pick all these up. Only the thermal spectrum, thermal camera can. I don't know about this one.
Guys, flying in formation. I'm only able to really see one, and I'm not sure the viewers can see better than I do, but talk to me about this business about formation. I'm not sure we've seen multiple Tic Tacs before.
So,
Yes.
if you remember way back with the Nimitz case, they've been seeing multiple objects show up on radar, and then they would instantaneously show up maybe 60 miles away and somewhere else. So, a lot of these do involve multiple objects. In this particular video, which they're still looking at, I can maybe make out two. This is not the raw footage, by the way. This comes from, I believe, one of their smartphones as they were recording the screen. So we're not seeing the whole footage. That hasn't been released yet. But remembering that they visually saw this, and then when they go back out to the bridge to look for it, they watched at least 4 of these move away in synchronous fashion instantaneously, just disappeared.
So you mentioned the Nimitz. There's this fighter, this warship as well, this incident. There's the U.S. Navy pilots who were flying a jet when they saw their Tic Tac. Seems like the Tic Tacs are around a lot of our military assets, which makes me start to wonder, is this really otherworldly, or is this just really sophisticated potential spycraft
It's all
of
the
another
above,
nation?
like I said.
And the question always is, that's a scary thought as well, because this is not what we call next generation technology. It's not something that we could maybe realistically achieve in the next, 10, 20 years.
Yeah, we do
when you can instantaneously
this could be another psychological experiment, that intelligence is doing, that one of the national security intelligence branches is doing. This could have to do with contractors doing this for, psychological reasons, see how, we react to this. You don't always know. It could be. It's like, I've said and others, half is ours, half is theirs.
Disappear and reappear 60 miles away. I mean, that's really, in my opinion, beyond what we have available. And also the Tic Tac shape, we're seeing a lot of that. But in this area, too, we've got spheres. I've got reports that, boat operators have had what looks like a city of light. I mean, a whole city coming up from underneath them, everything lit up around them like daylight. And that jets have possibly been scrambled to intercept and try to find out what's going on under the water. So this is a hotspot location. It's not just isolated to the West Coast, but the Tic Tac shape does seem to be something that is reoccurring often.
Can't believe you just said whole cities underwater. I am not going to sleep tonight, Ben Henson, thanks to you, Friday.
That's an obviously yes.
G'day and welcome back.
Well, this is a yes. I don't know if I should. Yeah, I think I'd end it here. I think I will. If anybody wants to see that, they know where it goes. News Nation. I knew this decades ago. Including killing people to keep it shut. Keep it shut up. Kill a lot of people. Anyways, y'all take care. I might come back on. Maybe Star Wars Galaxies, I don't know. Battlefront 2. I don't know. I mean, the thing with Star Wars Galaxies is that you want to get right into the action stuff. I'm actually force sensitive now on one guy, but That's wait for a dirty old man to see you and give you a holocron. Not a holocron, but anyway. Padawan trials. The Padawani trials of the Jedi. Stuff like that. Battlefront, you can just jump right in and play. That's what I like. I mean, Star Wars Galaxies, I mean, you can't just like jump right in. Well, stuff and get multiplayer PvP and me, I like to get right in. I like to get into action, kill, shoot. Anyways, watches. Anyone watches. Leave a comment, leave a like. Tell you.